Welcome back, or welcome to the Cognitive Athlete Podcast with me, your host, Clint Ray, high performance coach, speaker, and author of The Cognitive Athlete. This podcast is about helping leaders, thinkers, and doers perform at their best without burning out. Now, in episode 1, I shared why I wrote the book and how my time in the RAF shaped the way I think about performance. Today, we're tackling the big question: what exactly is a cognitive athlete, and why does it matter to you? Let's dive into it. When most people hear the word athlete, they think of sport. Sprinters, soccer players, marathon runners, Olympians, the list can go on. I often hear, "Clint, I'm not an athlete. I'm in meetings all day, not in the gym." But here's the truth. You already are an athlete, just not in the traditional sense. When I was in the RAF, I watched pilots, engineers, and soldiers train like athletes. Their edge wasn't just physical, it was cognitive. Their ability to stay sharp under pressure, make the right call, and recover fast is what made them effective. And that's exactly what leaders, professionals, and knowledge workers face today. We may not be running sprints, but our brains are carrying heavy cognitive loads every single day. To really understand this, let's take a look at history at work. I'll take you all the way back. In the early 1900s, Henry Ford changed the game with the production line. Back then, work was repetitive and physical. If you stayed longer on the line, more cars rolled out the other end. The formula was simple: more hours equals more output. But fast forward to today, most of us aren't tightening bolts. We're solving problems, complex ones. We're making decisions and we're thinking creatively. And here's the paradox. The longer we grind, the worse our performance gets. Decisions are slower and creativity shrinks. Mistakes just multiply. Have you ever experienced that? Where the longer you work, the later the nights, the slower you're thinking, you have zero creativity, maybe you even suffer from brain fog. And that is the result of treating us knowledge workers like production line workers. Longer hours does not equal higher output. There's been some really great research done by Microsoft's Human Factors Lab, and they actually looked at what happens in our brains during meetings. They put EEG headsets on people, basically sensors that track brain activity, and ran them through different meeting setups. Here's what they found. If you have one meeting, then take a short break before the next, your brain actually resets, the stress drops, and you come into the next meeting fresher. But if you stack meetings back to back with no breaks, the stress doesn't ease off, it just keeps climbing, just like a staircase. But by the end of the third or fourth meeting, your brain is sitting in a constant high stress state. And it's not just stress, they also measured focus. With breaks, attention levels came back down. People were engaged again. Without breaks, attention just flatlined. That's why at the end of the day of back-to-back meetings, that's why you feel tired and you can't think clearly. So the science is clear. Our brains need a break to perform at their best. And if athletes can build recovery into their training, we need to do the same thing with our work days. Yet, so many organizations still apply Ford's production line mindset. Work harder, go longer, squeeze in more hours. But that doesn't work for the work we do today. We need to start rethinking this. So this is where the idea of the cognitive athlete came in. And I'll repeat the definition. A cognitive athlete is someone who uses mental conditioning and structured recovery to excel under pressure. Think about what athletes do. They train deliberately. They work in cycles of effort and recovery. They prepare for big moments. So they peak for championships and then they rest afterwards. They have a whole season. They don't have to be peaking all the time. Now, cognitive athletes can apply the same principles, but we apply it to our brains. If you use your mind to make decisions, to solve problems, to lead people, or create, guess what? You are a cognitive athlete. And if you don't start managing yourself that way, the reality is this: you're going to burn out and then you're going to become another statistic. And I don't want that to happen, hence why I wrote the book. So as always, here is your challenge this week. I want you to start thinking of yourself as a cognitive athlete. Don't just push through an autopilot. I want you to begin noticing your energy rhythms. When do you feel sharp, focused and in the zone? And when do you struggle to get going or you feel your focus dropping? This isn't about time management, it's energy management. I know for me, my peak focus hours are between 3 and 5 p.m. It takes me a while to get going in the morning, so I don't try and do any heavy cognitive lifting things first thing like spreadsheets or accounts or podcasts. Instead, what I tend to do with my mornings, I'll pack it with shallow work, or I'll do things that give me energy like coaching, facilitating, or strategic or creative thinking. Then what I'll do, I've saved up all of that cognitive heavy lifting work and I'll block that in between 3 and 5 in the afternoon. So I can be deep, I can be focused, and I can really zone in. But everyone is different. If you're a morning person, your sharpest hours might be between 8 and 10. And guess what? What do most people do between 8 and 10 in the morning? We are clearing emails, we're answering questions. We could be in back-to-back meetings. By the time that you sit down, it's the afternoon. And in the afternoon, your energy is much more depleted. And that's when those tasks take twice as long. So here's the experiment for this week. What I want you to do is I want you to monitor your rhythm. I want you to notice when your energy is high and when it dips and how long it takes you to complete tasks. Then what we can do is to start scheduling your work around your natural rhythms. That's the first step to train like a cognitive athlete. And I guarantee you'll get better results. You'll end up completing more work with less time. But guess what? Don't tell your bosses because they'll just give you more work. So that's what it means to be a cognitive athlete. It's not about running marathons. It's about training your brain like it matters. Because guess what? It does matter. In the next episode, we'll dig into why so many of us try to sprint the marathon all year long and why it never works. Now, if today resonated with you, hit follow, share it with a colleague. And remember, check out thecognitiveathlete.com.au. Take the self-assessment. The book is available for pre-order as well. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, your brain isn't a production line. It's an engine that needs rhythm, recovery, and care. I'll see you next time.